Hello. In the previous episode, I fought a lot with sending outbound emails from our Ruby on Rails application, but now it's going to be much more fun. We're going to work on adding fake users to our database with the gem faker and with seeds.rb. We're going to add pagination and we're going to add some basic search. So let's get started. Now, at the moment, we've got 10 users in our database. And what if we want to create some additional fake users? Well, you can do it manually in the application, or you can run a command in the console, or possibly a better approach would be to seed the users into the database. Now, to basically populate the database with predefined fake records, there is this db, and inside we have seeds.rb. And here we see we've got a few examples. So we can type something like user.create, and what do we need to have to actually create a user? Now let's have a look at what we need to have. Going to schema RB, we have our users table, and we see the email cannot be null, then the password cannot be null, then created at and updated at are set by default. Standing count is also having a default, so all we need is an email and a password to create a user. Let's try to do that. We will create an user with an email, let's say test1 at example.com, and password. Now, if we try to create a user with encrypted password, it will not work. We can create a user with just a password like this. And let's make it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we would run the command in the console. I'll open a new console window now. cd super rails, rails db seed. Okay, and I will refresh now. And you see we have +1 user. So we have added this user. Do we see him anywhere? Now, where is the user? Okay, let's add some kind of basic ordering to the users. So let's see the newest created users first. We will go to our controllers, users controller, and add order.order created at descending. Okay, so this is the latest user that we created. But if we run the command rails db seed, once again, what will happen? We'll create the user. No, it did not create the user once again, because the email can should be unique. So we cannot create two users with the same email. We can see this error if we run our Rails console and try to run this command in the console. You see the user exists, and that is why we cannot create the user with the same email. So if we add one more user, let's say with test2, one more user with test3, and run Rails. Okay, I need to stop the console. Now I've already got the server running, so Rails db seed. And refresh. You see it created test2 and test3. But what if we want to create 50 users and we don't want to come up with the stupid email names on our own? We would want some kind of random email generator. And for this, we've got the perfect gem named faker. So the gem gives us any kinds of fake data, anything you can think of, fake names, quotes, lorem, ipsum, dolor, whatever. So there are a lot of examples. And we're going to install the gem faker. And now we're going to use it only for internet email. Now inside faker, there are a lot of chapters, and you can browse through them and see what kind of fake data you can get. Let's try to install the gem and see how it works. So I'm taking the gem faker and adding it to our gem file. Now we're going to use the gem faker only for development. So we can say that it's going to be in group development. So group development. Okay, and now I will run bundle. Okay, it's bundled, and now we can actually try to generate some fake data in our console. So I've started the console, and let's type something. Let's say faker name dot unique or whatever. Let's see if it gives us something. Nothing nice. Let's try fake a name.name. And you see it is giving us random names each time we run the command. And the same is going to be with email. So if we type fake internet email, it is going to give us fake valid emails. Well, not emails of real people, but they pass email validations. So we can add this fake internet email into our seeds instead of this thing that we came up with in our mind. And the password, well, it can stay the same, or you can make it more secure by adding a random number. And now you see we've added fake internet email, and we can also add we can also say that we want to generate, let's say, 10 or 15 or 50 users. So let's say 10.times do. So 10 times we will run this command user create email with a fake email. And let's stop the console and run Rails db seed. And the expectation will be for us to have 26 users now. Will it work? It should work. Now you see the problem with Rails db seed, we don't get any errors, we don't get any success notifications, we just run the command. So I will refresh. And you see now we've got 23 users. And it's actually quite a long list of users. And it doesn't look really great. So what if we have 500 users? It would be too much for us to see on one page. We will not want to see 500 users or 50 users on one page. And for this, we would want to use pagination. And there is the perfect gem for this, Pagy. Now, previously, there were really popular gems like Will Paginate and Caminary, but technology evolves, approaches to doing stuff evolve, and Pagy, according to different metrics, is faster than those gems. So now we're going to install Pagy. Let's go to the installation documentation. Let's see. Here's the link to quick start. Okay, we are going to grab the gem Pagy and add it to our gem file. Now, first I will save our changes. So git status, git add all, git commit main, seeds.rb, and gem faker. Okay, looks good. And now we can finally add the gem Pagy. Let's do that. I run bundle. Okay, and what is next? So we need to include Pagy backend in application controller. I'm going to our controllers, application controller, and well, somewhere here, doesn't really matter. I'm going to include Pagy backend. And we can already add some kind of Pagy scopes. So let's say we will want to paginate our user records. I will go to our users controller. Let's open it, and we will say that we want to paginate them. So as in the example, we're going to say Pagy, my users, and we're going to wrap the users.all into a Pagy like this. And let's see if it works. Now I will actually restart the server, Rails S. And going back, yeah, we have 20 users. This is 20 users. Now it was 23, and now we have 20. It's actually now not how many users we have in total, but how many users we have on the current page. Why is it so? Because let's go to our views. In our users index, we get at users.length. So the users that are available in the current search scope. But we can also have the total user length. We would just say user.length. Or maybe user.count or user all.length. Let's see. So now we have 73 users in total, and we see 20 of them. Yeah, that's because I ran seeds.rb with 50 additional records. Okay, now just to add some kind of styling, yeah, we see that we have 20 users on our page out of 73 in total. And let's add the pagination so that we can go to previous page, next page, and so on. And seen in the documentation, we need to include pagy frontend inside our application helper. So going to helpers, application helper, and here we are including pagy frontend. Okay, and now we can add the pagy nav at pagy. Let's try doing that. I will go to our users index, and yeah, anywhere we can do it on top, for example, add page nav at pagy. Now we are refreshing, and let's see if it works. So yeah, we have this navigation, but it doesn't look really beautiful yet. So you see, we can go from one page to another, and the user records change. But we want to use some kind of basic styling, and the Jump Pagy provides us with some basic styles. So we can use Bootstrap. Now let's find Bootstrap. Here it is. So we would need to create a file named pagy.rb first of all. Let's create the file. We would need to create inside our initializers. So we are creating pagy.rb. And let's have a look at how the pagy.rb file looks in the source code of the gem. Let's go to the file named pagy.rb. It might be either this one or this one. Okay, and here we see a lot of different settings for pagy. Now we don't need that one. Okay, and we want to install Bootstrap. So we will have to require pagy extras Bootstrap inside pagy.rb. And we can render partial pagy bootstrap nav locales pagy, or just pagy bootstrap nav at pagy. Let's see if it works. Now, obviously, we will have to restart the server because we've added an initializer and because we've added some changes inside the initializer. So I refresh, and I'm going to go back to users index, and next to pagy nav, we will also add pagy bootstrap nav. Let's see if this works. And you see it works. It was so easy for us to add additional Bootstrap navigation, and you see they work at the same time, but we're just going to remove the second one, the one without Bootstrap, because, well, we don't need two navigations on one page. And you see at the moment we have 20 records by default. What if we want to have not 20 records? Well, again, going to the documentation of the gem, we can edit it. So we are going to add some defaults. So for items, we will have, for example, not 20, but 12 or 10. Then what else will we add? So it is going to be page. Cycle is going to be true. Now I'll tell you what cycle is. So at the moment, if we're on the last page, we cannot go to the next page. But with this page cycle true, we'll be able to always navigate to the first page by pressing next out of the last page. Let's just restart and see if it works. So we go to the last page, you see we have 10 users maximum per page, and the next button works. So when we press next, from the last page, we go to the first page. Okay, and some more things to think about. So what if we go to a page that is obviously too big? We get this page overflow error, and we'll need to deal with it somehow. So here we have the documentation on overflow. So we're going to require page extras overflow. I guess I'll do it like this. And where will overflow lead us? For example, to the last page. So page was overflow will lead us to last page. Okay. And is there anything else we want to add? So trim extra, not really. Internationalization, no, these seem to be the main settings at the moment. So let's restart our server, Rails S. And now once again, we refresh this obviously page that cannot exist. And we are automatically redirected to the last page. Now we go to the 7th page. We're on the 7th page, so it works. And this is how we can really quickly make some good quality pagination work on our application. So let us save our changes. Git status, git add all, git commit main, gem pagy for pagination. Okay, looks good. Anyway, now we've got a lot of users in our database, and we want to add some kind of search to be able to find a user by an email, for example, or to sort the users by the sign up date. Actually, we need to add a sign up date here. So for this, we're going to use the gem ransack. Now, there are a couple of really great gems for searching data in Ruby on Rails. One is ransack and one is PG search. And in my opinion, they're quite different, and ransack is much more functional, while somebody would say that PG search is more efficient. Anyway, now we're going to add the gem ransack and see how it works. So I will also close a few tabs that we do not need. Okay, and adding the gem to our gem file. So on the bottom, gem ransack. And now we're on bundle. Okay, and now, so the simple mode in the controller. Let's go to our controller. We're going to add ransack to our user's controller. We would have something like this. So user ransack params q, users q result distinct true. Now we need to make it work at the same time with our default created at descending. We can actually remove all, and we need to make it work with pagy. So it would be something like this. We would what would we do? Now here we'll have user, of course, and here we'll have users, and again we would have page here. Oh my, what did I open? Yeah, page, and we would drop this into page. I guess like this. And we can also add this order created at descendant somewhere here. Let us see if this works. Okay, what else do we need? So we would add a search form inside our users index. So going to our users index, we would add the search form. It's just an example that we've got here right now, but we will edit it. So we don't have a name. We have an email. It will be email contains. And you see we have a search form for Q, and the Q is the list of users. So we have a search by email, and that's everything that we'll use for the very beginning. Let us just search by email. So I'm going to refresh. Okay, restarting the server. And going to try to search by email. Let's see the users with the Gmail address. And here we have two users with a Gmail address. So the search works. We can find we can have a search by email, and we find the users whose email contains the word Gmail. Or let's find the letter G. We have quite a lot of users who have an email containing the letter G, and we would need some kind of button to refresh. Let's say we would go here and add an additional button. It would be just the link to the current page. So equals link to users, and it with users path. Okay, and we would make it somewhere on a different line, not in line with the user ID. Okay. Some kind of paragraph, or actually we can add a breaking line like this, but it doesn't look really cool. It will be actually not users but refresh, and it can actually be not a word refresh if we can have the refresh sign from font awesome. So we would have an and here, and inside we would have an icon with a class refresh or something like that. So icon with a class fa refresh. Let's see if there is such an icon. No, not really. Let's go to the font awesome documentation and see if there is an icon that refresh. I don't know why it takes so long to load. So is there an icon that refresh? Okay, it is not refresh. It would be something like sync. And here's the icon. Okay, and let's make this icon visible only if we have a search param present. Now, a search param, you see we have params queue. So when we press search, we have this params queue, and we see for email contains and anything else. Now, let's see if at the moment on our page we have this params queue. So let's say equals params queue. Let's see if we have this. So it is email contains. Now let's check if it is present. So now it is present. And when I refresh, when I go to the root page of our users, it is false. So we will display this link to refresh only if we have this search query present at the moment. And I get some kind of error. So yeah, if params queue present, then we have the link. Otherwise, I don't have the link. So now when I search by email, let's press search. I will type like Gmail or GMA. And then I have this button to refresh. I press the button and I have no button to refresh because we are already on the root page. And we can actually add not only search by a content of a field, we can add also filtering, so sorting from A to Z. Let's see how we can do it. So here we have this search form, and we would also have a sort link. So let's try to add a sort link. I would go here, and now we have a search form, and let's also add a sort link by email. And here it would be email. Let's see if it works. So I'm refreshing, and we can sort by email. So the first is A, second A, we sort once again, and the last is Y. So looks good. And this is how, using the gem ransack, we can add some really, really powerful functionality to search, to filter, to sort data. So looks really great. Now, of course, there's still a lot to do with the styling of this, but it is a more boring, tedious work, in my opinion. I love adding new functionality. So anyway, we've added some really basic search with ransack, and we've added filtering, and looks quite fine. So let us save our changes. Now I'll type git status, git add all, git, oh, actually we'll remove this, and git add all once again, git status, so git commit main, gem ransack to search and filter users. And looks really good. Okay. Okay, going back to our users list, let's actually also add, make it visible when the user was created. So we can see when each user was registered in the database, in the application. So let's go to our user partial, and for example, on the very bottom, we can add user.created@. And here it will also be created at, and let's view. And you see the creation date is not really human friendly. We don't need to see the UTC, and maybe we don't really need to see the time. Now we can edit this by using strftime. So let's type Ruby strftime and see how we can format date time objects in Ruby on Rails. So here is the documentation for strftime. I'm surprised that Udemy blog also says something about strftime for Rails, for Ruby. Okay, so we have year as letter Y. So you see we can type something like created at dot strftime, and inside we would have something like Y. And let's see what it gives us. It must give us only the year, you see, 2021. So we have Y for long year. We can have little y for short year, so it would be something like 21. Let's try. You see, it is just 21. Then we have m for month as an integer, and we can have something like b for a month with like 3 letters. I like this one more. So we would have b, y. Here we have the month and the year. Let's actually make the year long. And we would have the day. Now the day would be as little d, so 0131, not just 131. So d, by, and we can add some kind of delimiters, for example, like this. So we have date, month, year. So 15th of June 2021, and we can also do something similar with our time, if we want to have time. We have time as H, as M, as S. Well, here for the creation, for the created at, we can just have day, month, year, and I think that will be enough. And we might even not need these spaces. So this is the basics of how you can use strftime in Ruby on Rails. And actually, let's also add a filter next to our email to see the users by their creation date. So now we have a sort link for Q email, and we'll also add a sort link for Q created at. So here we have created, and here we will have the database column created at. Let's see. So we filter by their creation date. Here's the first user, 13th of June, and the last user on the 15th of June. Okay, so looks good. Now we can filter by 2 different parameters, and we can search by, well, just by the email at the moment. So looks quite good. Well, okay, I think it's enough now. There's already a lot to wrap the head around, so I hope you enjoyed it. And, well, I really quickly went through all these different gems, but each of them really deserves a separate video and a few hours of really wrapping the head around how they work. So again, have a nice time learning and enjoying Ruby on Rails. Thank you.